In a house in Vrindavan, two lazy young men wake up in the middle of the afternoon. They suddenly panic when they remember that their father is supposed to visit that very day. One of them starts ranting about how his dad always forces him to grow up and be independent. Trying to impress his father, he quickly designs a flyer for a horror-themed party, hoping it will go viral online. He then tells his father that they've already started their own business. Meanwhile, Gullu, desperate for the party's success, makes a wish to a strange doll they once found in the trash of an abandoned film studio in the city. Time passes, and later that night, at their big party, not a single guest shows up. Their hopes are crushed, and to make it worse, the glowing eyes of the Raka statue suddenly go dark. When they try to switch the lights back on, they get electrocuted, collapse unconscious, and the entire house loses power. When they finally wake up, they're shocked to see the house now filled with people dressed in horror costumes, all partying as if the place is alive. Excited, the two start going around, charging guests for parking and entry tickets. Suddenly, a mysterious woman appears. She talks to them, and afterwards, they even take a photo together. Later, the photo is shown to Rajini, but when Rajini looks at it, the two young men appear perfectly normal, which means the rest of the partygoers are actually ghosts. Gullu and Major have no clue that their guests are all spirits. While the two are happily enjoying their party, the police suddenly arrive. And in an instant, every ghost vanishes into thin air. The two convince themselves that everything they saw was just a hallucination from the electric shock. After being kicked out by the police, they head back home, carrying their things with them. On the way, Major suddenly notices Rajini sitting quietly in the back seat of their car. At first, he thinks it's just another hallucination and even tries to enjoy the view. But when he realizes Gullu can see her too, he knows this time it's real. They both turn around to look again, but Rajini has already vanished. Trying to lift their spirits, they take something they call Gullu Special. The effect feels almost like drugs. It sends them flying high in their own heads. In their wild imagination, they picture themselves on an airplane, soaring above the clouds. Soon, sleepiness kicks in, and they switch to what they jokingly call autopilot mode, like on a real plane before dozing off. In the middle of a bridge, a ghostly woman suddenly appears, her feet twisted completely backward. She stands right in the middle of the road, blocking Gullu and Major as their car approaches. As the car gets closer, Chickney strikes a terrifying pose, like someone about to collect an unpaid debt. And then... Oh no! She's instantly knocked aside, flying straight into a concrete drain. Major, thinking he just hit someone, jolts awake and slams on the brakes. Seeing a woman lying motionless in a white sari, they panic, assuming they've just killed a widow. But when her leg twitches, they breathe a sigh of relief. Still, when they take a closer look, they notice her feet are completely backward. Gullu, recalling something he once read about fixing broken bones, tries to twist her leg back to normal. But no matter how he turns it, the leg flips back into its eerie position. Major gives it a shot with the other leg. Same result. Finally, they both try together, turning both legs at once.
Ready? Ready. Chal, counting them.
Yet the feet snap right back. Defeated, they give up, arguing with each other about her strange condition. Seizing the chance, Chickney sneaks away. When the two realize she's gone, they look around in confusion. Meanwhile, Chickney hides nearby, crying softly, then slips away in shame, having just lost her dignity as a ghost. That night, while they're fast asleep, something suddenly tugs at their blanket and wakes them up. When they step out to investigate, they find Regini in the kitchen, calmly making herself a cup of coffee. They start talking, and Regini casually drops the truth. She's a ghost. Of course, they don't believe her. To prove it, Regini possesses Major's body and uses it to smack his brother John.
Oh my God!
Only then do they finally accept that Regini is, in fact, a spirit. Regini explains that she sought them out because they're total losers, but losers who can actually see ghosts. Her plan: she'll possess people, and the two of them will exorcise her for money. After a quick discussion, they reject the idea, saying Regini could be dangerous, and besides, they're not con men. Disappointed, Regini vanishes. But as soon as she's gone, the two decide to steal her idea anyway, rebranding themselves as professional Ghostbusters. When they pitch the plan to their father, he explodes in anger, calling their idea idiotic.
Ghostbusters!
He demands that they do something meaningful with their lives and learn to be independent. But since they insist on chasing this ghost-catching business, their father gives them an ultimatum. In 3 months, they must repay every rupee he has spent on their living expenses. If they fail, all their beloved horror collectibles, including Rocca, will be taken away. The challenge is set. Gullu and Major must come up with 50 lakh rupees in just 3 months. They finally put their ghost-busting plan into action. Gullu designs uniforms inspired by Ghostbusters, while Major paints their car with the new phone boot logo, literally meaning ghost call. They even launch a website for their spooky business. But for 6 straight days, not a single real call comes in. Then suddenly the phone rings, only to be a prank caller. Soon after, more prank calls flood in. People mock them as slackers, and memes about them spread online. Just when they're about to give up, they receive their first real call for help. Fueled with excitement, like when your crush says, "The house is empty," they rush to the address. There, they discover the homeowner's child is possessed. Armed with a ghost detector, they mark a boundary line for the parents and step inside the room. They search every corner but find nothing. Suddenly, plates start flying at them, hurling them across the room. On the window, they see a flying kid casually coloring on the glass. The sight makes Gullu faint, while Major gets beaten up by the ghostly child. Even in his fainted state, Gullu hears the ghost speaking in his local dialect. He jumps up, tries to introduce himself, but ends up getting thrashed too and hides under the bed. A few moments later, Gullu finally crawls out from under the bed. When the ghost tries to attack again, Gullu hurriedly shows a photo of someone. The ghost freezes, screams "Thaliva!" and looks terrified. I have no idea who's in that photo. If you know, drop it in the comments. When they question the ghost, he leaves the girl's body and begins to explain. It turns out he possessed the child to take revenge on her father. The ghost reveals that he died in a hit-and-run accident caused by the girl's father's car. If the man had stopped and called for help, maybe the ghost would still be alive. Even worse, he had been the sole breadwinner for his poor parents. While they're discussing, Regini suddenly appears. She suggests that half of Gullu and Major's fee should go to the ghost's parents so his soul can finally rest. Everyone agrees, and they settle on a payment of 1 million. The girl's father is reluctant at first, but after hearing the truth about the hit and run, he finally gives in. Together, they go to the ghost's parents' home. When they arrive at the ghost's parents' house, Gulu and Major plan to give just a small portion of the money. But Rajini forces them to hand over the entire amount to the grieving parents. The ghost suddenly appears, sees what they've done, and finally finds peace, passing on to the afterlife. Back at home, Rajini insists on joining their team. They ask her what benefit she'll get from this partnership. She simply says, "I'll tell you later," and no is not an option. At first, they hesitate, but after Rajini playfully teases them, they give in and agree.
आ समझाऊं तुझे क्यों नहीं मानता एक बार आजमा ले प्यार का मीठा रस.
From that point on, business starts booming. They get calls from everywhere, exorcising ghosts from houses, apartments, and even hospitals. But instead of keeping the money, they always give the payments to the families of the restless spirits, allowing the ghosts to move on peacefully. Their reputation grows, not only among humans, but also among the ghosts themselves. One day, Gulu and Major receive a strange phone call. But when they pick it up, no one answers. It turns out the caller is a powerful witch, someone who sees Gulu and Major as rivals. She despises them for stealing some of her clients. At her hideout, the witch commands an army of restless spirits who serve as her underlings. That day, she organizes a bizarre contest to choose the best performing ghost. According to her, the winner will be freed, sent to the afterlife, no longer doomed to wander. This time, the chosen one is a deliverer-man ghost. Let's just call him Ghost Courier. She leads him into a chamber with a giant symbol on the floor. Ghost Courier sits at the center while the witch chants an eerie mantra. In an instant, he's sucked into a bottle and floats upward. Then we see the shocking truth. Dozens of bottles drift and hover in the air above, each one trapping a spirit inside. The witch has been deceiving her followers all along, tricking them to work tirelessly with the false promise of salvation. One day, Rajini calls in a favor, just as they had agreed. With the full moon only 2 days away, when spirits grow weaker, she wants to act fast. She sits Gulu and Major down and begins to explain. It turns out Rajini was a physiotherapist in her past life. Long ago, she treated a prince named Dushyant after he fell from his horse. Over time they fell deeply in love. So much so that the prince had already proposed to her. But one night, while they were driving together, tragedy struck. Their car was hit from behind, and Rajini died instantly. The prince survived the crash. After losing her, the prince fell into a deep depression, blaming himself for her death. Rajini, now a spirit, tried desperately to communicate with him, but all he could do was sense her presence around him, never seeing her, never hearing her. His family, thinking he had gone mad, gave him a charm designed to block spirits from reaching him. Rajini then reveals something chilling. The prince left a note at the site of the accident, saying he plans to take his own life in 2 days, on the exact anniversary of Rajini's death. She begs Gulu and Major to help stop him before it's too late. But after Rajini finishes her long, emotional story, Major doesn't believe a word of it. He thinks it's all made up, because according to him, no love story that long should skip the intimate parts. Yeah, That's just how pervy minds worked. And honestly, do any of you secretly agree with Major here? This disagreement causes a fight between Gulu and Major. Gulu believes Rajini, but Major refuses to die. In frustration, Major decides not to help Rajini and storms off. The next morning, Gulu and Rajini pretend to be doing something suspicious inside their car, just to mess with Major's head. When Major sees it, he immediately looks heartbroken and goes back inside. That night, he even dreams of Gulu and Rajini being all lovey-dovey.
Even naughty girls need love. The night, no control. Kya karoon?
The following day, Gulu and Rajini set off on their mission. But their car crawls forward at a snail's pace, clearly stalling, hoping Major will come join them. After a few strangers pass them by, suddenly, Major shows up and rejoins the team, though he makes up a totally fake excuse for why he's back. At Atmaram's hideout, Chickney came to him, complaining that she was tired of wandering around as a ghost. She said she was exhausted from being a freelance spirit. No insurance, no paid leave, not even weekends off. She wanted to join Atmaram as one of his minions, hoping to finally get a chance to move on to the afterlife. Atmaram agreed, but with one condition. Chickney had to complete the first mission he assigned. Her task, to scare Phone But. What Chickney didn't realize was, Phone But happened to be the very people who once hit her on the bridge. Meanwhile, Gulu and Major stopped on the road to take a quick bathroom break. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew, the toilet door creaked open, and right in front of it stood a mysterious woman. Of course it was Chickney, sent to spook them. But the moment they locked eyes, Gulu and Major recognized her instantly. Awkwardly they asked about her leg, which unfortunately was still twisted the wrong way. And then Chickney activated her flash mode. In seconds, she zipped through different places in Vrindavan, moving faster than their eyes could follow. Rajini quickly caught up and tripped her, sending Chickney tumbling down. By the lake, they finally sat and talked. Chickney confessed she was angry at Gulu and Major for stealing her haunting turf. But Rajini calmly pleaded with her, asking Chickney to switch sides, help Phone But fight Atmaram, and set the trapped souls free. Gulu and Major waited for Rajini by their car until night fell. But as boredom kicked in, they decided to leave. Suddenly, their car rolled backward on its own. When they turned around, they saw a rope tied to the back of the car. But it wasn't a rope, it was a long braid. And at the end of that braid stood a terrifying ghost. Her hair slithered and moved like cobras, lashing out violently. The ghost attacked, and poor Gulu and Major got absolutely wrecked. Moments later, Rajini finally showed up and saw the chaotic fight. The ghost, noticing backup had arrived, quickly disguised herself as Rajini. Gulu and Major tried to play along, even inviting them to dance, until they figured out which one was the fake Rajini. They chased the imposter, grabbed her braid, and cut it off. The ghost instantly lost her powers and broke down crying. Through tears she warned them, "Atmaram will avenge me, and he will kill you all." Then she vanished into thin air. Gulu and Major had no clue who Atmaram was, or why he wanted them dead. That's when Rajini had to explain everything. She revealed that her lover, Dushyant, had been killed by assassins sent by his own brother. And worse, that man had paid Atmaram to trap Dushyant's soul forever. Rajini's true plan all along was to push Gulu and Major into risking their lives against Atmaram, just to save her lover's spirit. Congratulations to those of you who thought just like Major. Yes, you're still hopelessly dirty-minded. Feeling tricked and betrayed, Gulu and Major walked away, leaving Rajini behind. At Atmaram's lair, he exploded in anger when his lady ghost returned defeated. But when she explained that Phonebut had a ghost ally named Rajini, Atmaram finally understood. Their true purpose was to fight him, to settle an old score of vengeance. Inside the chamber where the trapped spirits wailed, Atmaram raised his staff high. A surge of green light burst out, reaching far and wide. At that very moment, Rajini was trying to apologize to Gulu and Major, but suddenly the light struck her, pulling her helplessly into Atmaram's lair. There, Atmaram imprisoned her inside a bottle, planning to use her as bait, so that Gulu and Major would walk straight into his trap, only to be killed. Meanwhile, Gulu and Major had no idea Rajini was kidnapped. They thought she had simply left them behind. Then suddenly, one of the ghosts they had once saved appeared before them. When he realized Rajini wasn't there, he said, "The three of you are a team. Anyone can make money, but Rajini gave you honor." Those words hit them hard. Determined, Gulu and Major decided to find her. But just as they wondered where to even begin, one of Atmaram's henchmen appeared, showing them the way. They prepared themselves, took a deep breath, and entered the lair. Inside, they saw Rajini trapped in a bottle. But before they could react, countless spirits surrounded them. Trying to mask his fear, Gulu shouted, "All right then, so which one of you is Atmaram?" From behind a throne, Atmaram finally revealed himself. Though his entrance looked a little glitchy. Still with a cold grin, he ordered his minions to possess Gulu and Major, forcing the two friends to fight each other in a brutal clash. After a while, the minions left their bodies, and Atmaram declared that he would burn Rajini inside the bottle. Desperate, Gulu prayed for help, and suddenly the ground shook in a violent quake. When the trembling stopped, out of nowhere, Raka appeared, alive and ready to fight. Seizing the chance, they managed to free Rajini from the bottle, and a chaotic battle broke out. For a moment, Atmaram was crushed beneath the rubble by Raka, but he soon emerged, furious, and struck Raka down with his magical staff. Seeing Raka defeated so easily, Gulu and Major hesitated, fear creeping in. Atmaram then threatened them with Dushyant's spirit trapped in a bottle. But Gulu, fumbling with his words, said they had come for Dashart, not Dushyant. This slip enraged Atmaram, who furiously hurled the bottle, and Major quickly caught it, while Gulu snatched Atmaram's staff. Major tried to use the staff, but it didn't work. Atmaram unleashed his power, freezing both Gulu and Major in place. Gulu politely asked for a 1-minute timeout, and surprisingly, Atmaram granted it. After that short break, the three of them tried the staff again, but with only one ghost on their side, the staff remained powerless. Then suddenly, the spirits they had once helped began to appear, gathering around them. After mixing a drink of hot and cold together and drinking it, the staff finally lit up. The spirits gained new strength and launched their attack on Atmaram. He fell into the fires of hell, meeting a gruesome end. And so, that was the conclusion, guys. Regini was finally reunited with her prince, and she thanked Gulu and Major for their courage. The message of this story: never trust someone's tale too quickly, especially if that someone happens to be a beautiful, seductive woman. Always search for the truth first. But if you really can help, then do it, because helping others brings blessings. And let's be honest, if the one you're helping looks like a model, you wouldn't refuse anyway, right? Thanks for watching till the very end, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss my next videos. See you in the next story. Bye bye.